thing happened in January, right? Oh no,
That's the casting.
no, the casting, no, December, because I remember I got the role just before Christmas.
Did you? What were we doing? Pre-production then?
No,
Yeah,
we shot in January.
January in
right?
San Diego.
San Diego. And then it just was gangbusters from then on. And it was a pretty big hit too, and it's pretty, you know, one of those amazing things that you kind of just don't really recognize. I mean, maybe you shouldn't even recognize them.
Well, yeah, and I give credit to that, to the network. I mean, it was an instant marketable idea, and I think they've done a great thing that every year of the show we come up with posters that are banned in several cities. And it was like, what? I remember the first poster was a woman with the eye job, and it was shocking, and it was meant to provoke and to make discussion, and they've always been very supportive of the show, and they've always known how to sell the show, and I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah.
It was all a click. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you talk about the stars being in line, all that kind of stuff. It was like one of those things where everything kind of came together. You know what I mean?
Right.
All the actors sitting here, these producers and directors, the writers, and then being on FX, and, you know, it's the perfect network who was willing to take chances. And, you know, I agree. I think the billboards for our show, well, not just because I'm on them, but no, seriously, they're interesting. You know what I mean? And they're done in a dynamically different way that, you know, every time I drive past Warner Brothers, I look up and I go, what the hell? You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It all just came together at once. You know what I mean?
For you, Julian, when people are surprised
synergy.
because you obviously have an American accent on the show, are people surprised that you're Australian? And I mean, how has that kind of changed you personally when people come up to you, and are you finding it so people see you in a whole different light now?
You know, the response to the show, I feel like, is a very visceral one. It's kind of, because we have no holds barred on the show, it's kind of gives people no holds barred in regards to the way they relate to your characters, right? I mean, I've had people grab me in places that I shouldn't be grabbed, particularly when I'm standing next to the head of my network, you know what I mean? Just, the people are like, I mean, I remember there was this businessman one day, and I was standing there kind of next to him, and he was on his cell phone doing some deals. He was all dressed in his tie and shit, and he's like, whatever, and I'm standing there. He turns around and goes, oh my fucking God! The fucking Nip Tuck guy's right next to me, man! I'm like, hey! He goes, give me a hug, man! I fucking love. I'm like, wow, like, leave me, hey, you know. But then after a while, I kind of got used to people just being so kind of over the top with their responses, because, you know, television's one of those mediums that you're in the people's living rooms, and people get that kind of connection with you that goes beyond, like, just going to the movie theater, and they kind of feel like there's a party that feels like it's either family or they own you or something. I don't know what it is. But so to get that on this show, it's not like they're standing back and going, how you doing? You know, I mean, they're like,
yeah,
they're attached. You know what I mean?
Ryan, talk about a little bit about where you find your storylines, your surgical storylines. Are you going through the New England Journal of Medicine every week, or on the internet? How do you kind of finding?
Nothing that, Tony. It's an interesting experience during the show, because the writers are fantastic, and we're all very close. And it typically begins with me coming in on a Monday and saying, I'm bored. I want to be shocked. What can I do to shock myself? And then the writers are like, why don't we talk about the characters? I'm like, okay. And how we do both the sex and the surgeries on the show, we really sort of troll the internet a lot, and we find cases, and we then give them to our medical experts, and we tell them we need to shoot them in a more dramatic way and fight with them. But all that stuff, shockingly, the stuff that people talk about the show is all fact. It's really sort of real. It's truth is stranger than fiction. In fact, the one time I remember we did a case that was not fact, we did an episode that Mike directed about a face transplant. Oh. And then we got really reamed in the media, and then literally 10 days later there was a face transplant. So, and I take great pride in that sort of that stuff is, that, you know, we're able to explore that stuff sexually and medically. And, you know, when you're in a writer's room also, you talk a lot about your own interests, and it's all of our obsessions.
What the hell are we talking about, by the way? I mean, sexually and medically, I love this show.
It's true. I mean, the stuff is pushed. It's meant to provoke. It's meant to sort of shine a light on, like I said, a part of society that you can't believe this happens, but it does. But that's how we come up with the stuff.
Great. Open up some Q&A questions outside in the audience.
You might see some troubles.
Stay on.
Just hold it.
It's literally jumping off.
It's so cold. I'm like freezing.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to see all you here instead of just on the screen and see that you're real people instead of just characters. But one of the things I want to address my question to is to Ryan. On the last episode, or one of the last episodes of this past season, we noticed that you kind of went into the future with the characters. And I was kind of wondering what the motivation for doing that was. I wasn't sure if it had to do with an actual event that took place with Julia's character, or if it was just because you just wanted to explore that.
It was both. I mean, it was an interesting episode because that was the breakup of the marriage of Sean and Julia, and we had done it a couple times, and I thought at a certain point it was like the boy who cried wolf. It's like you can't do it, and then 3 episodes later they're in love again. So I thought, let's do an episode where we tell the audience, no, this really is not going to work out. And that's how that came. And it was an interesting choice. And now that we're into another season, I have second thoughts about it because you commit to a certain outlook. But the show, we're committing to what happened. We can't suddenly kill off Julian. We know he's alive. That's what. Or we can't have Dylan and Julian break up as partners. We know they make it 20 years in the future. So
they might be gay, but they're still going to make it.
But the show, to me, I mean, it was a ballsy thing to do, but to me, I wanted to do something that was provocative, that was sort of, in a weird way, boxing you into a corner because it was fresh to me, it was interesting, and it was a hard choice. It was a definitive statement about that relationship, and so that's why we did it.
And it was fun.
It was. It was fun.
Oh, I became the dirtiest old man. You put that prosthetic stuff all over your face and put that outfit on. I was grabbing anybody, anywhere.
But people were very split on that episode because in a weird way it was very odd television because we took away your choice. We're going to tell you what happened.
But I don't think that just because you made that choice doesn't mean we can't go back and change it, though.
It could always be a dream.
Right? It could be anything.
Right?
Right?
Dream,
exactly. Whose dream is it?
We've talked about that. We've talked about that. Would the audience revolt if it were a dream? So it's in progress.
Our audience will never revolt, Ryan.
That's right.
If they haven't by now.
Hi. Thank you first for saying that you felt it had jumped the shark. Because the thing is I've had conversations with people who are like, oh my gosh, it was so over the top. And then we're like, yes, we're watching it next week. Thank God it was over the top. But I was kind of curious if any of you have read a script and thought, there is no fucking way I'm doing this. I mean, kind of like just a gut reaction, not after. Just that gut reaction, I guess.
Can I say something?
No.
We didn't do it, though. The whole
promised
Stevie
you wouldn't
Nicks.
say anything.
Which one?
The Stevie Nicks.
Oh, yeah.
What was it?
We were going to do a shout out to a very famous pop star who did some very odd things
Should
with
I not
drugs.
have said that?
And I go to the cast a lot of times. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. We get to put coke up Kimber's rectum this week, and Kelly, what? Like stuff like that. But I will say, not once.
I have never said no.
I have never.
No, and that's the great thing about this cast. They have never ever said no.
Why would you?
Or they've changed. They've never.
I almost said no to the Speedo, though. I begged for no Speedo. I came close to saying no.
That Speedo thing, you know, where I have that gay dream? You remember that? And so the wardrobe lady comes in, we're both in Dylan's trailer, and she comes in and she goes, do you want shorts or do you want Speedo? And they go, shorts! For Christ's sakes, of course, shorts. I'm like, yeah, shorts, whatever he wants, I'll do whatever he wants. And so she leaves, and like 10 minutes later I leave, and I go, Speedos, it has to be Speedos. Get me a large and get him a small. And then we stood there, I came out,